Toss aside the touchy-feely notions of love in business and recognize the real power it holds. Welcome to the Love is Just Damn Good Business podcast with host Steve Farber. Drawing on his work with a wide variety of companies from the Fortune 100 to smaller family-owned businesses, Farber shares inspiring interviews with business leaders and proven strategies for how you can create experiences that your customers will love by developing a culture that your employees, teammates, and colleagues love working in. Discover why and how love, at the end of the day, is just damn good business for you too. Here's your host, Steve Farber.
It's my great pleasure to introduce another person who falls into that category of new friend. So Mike Kociela and I met just recently through our mutual friend, Pauline. And we sat down, we were having a drink, we were having some food, and he told me a story, and I said, dude, you have got to come tell your story to our community at the Extreme Leadership Experience. And he said, well, I don't know what that is, but sign me up. So Mike, he'll tell you himself, but just to give you a little background. So Mike, once upon a time, and still to this day, but once upon a time professionally, was a musician. He had a band called New World Spirit on Universal Records. Yes, thank you. He's a ventriloquist, too. You know what that makes me? Anyway. He has, over the years transitioned into this amazing business where he has produced, continues to produce these ginormous festivals of, tens of thousands of people. And one of the things that really struck me about this is that in the festivals that he has produced and put on, they've never had any kind of incidents involving the police, no violence, it's just gone, everyone has been by all measures perfect. How do you get that with that many people? Let's find out. Would you please welcome Mike Kociela.
This is an interesting situation. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Nice. That's my band playing right now. That's funny because I was asking my friend Swan, I was like, what's going to be my music? And it's my music. That's totally super cool. Thanks for doing that. I'm probably the most surprised that I'm standing up here right now because when I, by chance, met Steve, and it could be by chance or not by chance, depending on what you believe, is that what I do falls right into the category of leap, and I didn't even realize it. I've been doing this for 22 years. I'm a festival producer, self-employed, and my philosophy towards producing ginormous large events is from a place from love, and I didn't even realize it. I called it passion. It was my passion or passion for the project, but today was the first day I've been involved with this organization, and coming up here and sitting in and listening to everybody, I was like, okay, yeah, I guess now I know why I'm here and why Steve saw that and what I do. So thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here and to speak with you guys. So this is what I do. I produce very large festivals. This is Fair St. Louis. It is under the arch. It's on Independence Day. It's 500,000 people. And I am, believe it or not, the adult in charge at this thing, which is crazy because it all comes back to me. We deal with every level of security from the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, Coast Guard, air traffic controllers. We shut down airspace. We shut down the Mississippi River. And we throw a big party with booze underneath the arch. And like Steve said, which was sort of my crux to my thing, and you blew it, but I have been doing this for 22 years, and even at this festival, I've never had an arrest on our footprint. And it didn't dawn on me until about 10 years into it, and I was talking to the captain of the police department, and he's like, man, you run a really tight ship. We've never even had a call in. So I was like, wow, that's cool. And it kept going on and kept going on and kept going on. And I didn't really realize why until I started thinking about the way I did things. And so I was just going to show you a few more things that we do. This is actually the same festival in a different location while the arch was under renovation. This is a concert tour I did on the beach. This is about 50,000 people. This is an event that I own. I now live in San Diego, but I was originally from St. Louis. And this is an event I created called Taste of St. Louis. And at its peak downtown, we were at 400,000 people. Again, no incidents, no arrests. This is a blues festival that I started in downtown St. Louis, which is the #1 blues city in America. And this is about 70,000 people at this event. Again, no arrests, everybody happy. A marathon that we produce, in total about 70,000 people. That's just a private party, but it's on the Arch ground or the Busch Stadium grounds, about 20,000 people or so. Then we book talent, and so how do we do this? How do we have all these people in one space and have them working harmoniously together and in a good spirit and without incident and everybody walking away happy and the client being happy? And to get there, I wanted to back up and explain my philosophy of my style, but also how I get to the point of why we would do something like this. So, and here's the boring slide of just text. So a festival is just like any other business. It has a goal, and there's a team, and then there's a result. And with it, to get to that point of creating this big, massive event and basically doing this business that only takes part over 3 days, I first meet with clients, and I swear we get like 2 or 3 calls a week of, I want to do a festival, I want to put on a big show, I want to make a bunch of money, or I want to, be cool, or whatever. And I always sit people down or clients down, and I ask them, well, why are you doing it? And what's the goal, and what's the passion behind it, or what's the love behind it? And I always use the word passion, but now that I've been here, I totally get it. It's actually more than that. It is a love, because you can't pull something off to that scale without it being pure and authentic. And so I sit down with our clients, and this is actually the hardest part of what we do, is boiling down the essence of what they want. And they don't normally know what they want. And I would say more often than not, I'd say 95% of the time, we talk people out of doing festivals because they're a huge risk, they're full of liability. And at the end of the day, when they think it's a great idea, but then they hear that, they're actually going to liability for people's lives, when you gather that many people at a festival, that's a big weight to take on. So I usually talk people out of it. But for the people who graduate to that next level and they've defined what they want to do with the festival and why they're doing it, and it has a pure purpose, then it's just a matter, just like any other goal in business, of getting there. And I believe that you can pretty much accomplish anything you want. But first you have to know what you want, and then you have to decide, you have to find the path to getting there. And I've done this with several businesses. I've owned 5 different companies. I just sold 2 of them. And it really, without knowing, they did come from a good place. I wanted to build the community. And that Taste of St. Louis event that I showed you, I lived in downtown St. Louis for 15 years. I wanted to put eyeballs on what was happening down there with the loft developments. I wanted to gather people in a very open and diverse manner so they could have a good time and see what was cool about downtown St. Louis. So unbeknownst to myself, I was doing it for the right reasons. Later on, after a while, I realized that, I knew why I was doing that. And it became easy to find that path. And so if you got a good goal, all you got to do is find the path to get there. And then you got to find the ways and things and means to get to that location and the tools that you're going to use to get to that location, which would be, in the scheme of doing a big event downtown or in any city, is there's politics involved. You got to have land, you got to have permits, you got to have a team, you got to have all these people that come together, and all these elements, marketing, supplies, vendors, and all these things, just like any other business. And so you start assembling all of those, and that's part of taking your skills and all the things that you need to follow that path to get to the goal. And then what I've found after many, many years of being a leader, I'm more of a team member. I've never really called myself a leader, but I've realized that why I'm successful at what I do is that I've actually been on every side of the business. If the bass player drops dead, I can play bass. I can play drums. I can do the marketing. I can do the voiceovers. I can build the stage. I can do the power. And I think as a leader in business, it's your duty to know everything about it. Not saying you wouldn't take input or keep learning from your teammates, but when you're sitting idle, like, it's time to lean, time to clean. For me, if it's time to lean, I want to make sure that I learn more about even my own business, because I equate a business to a machine. And when you're putting all these parts together, you got to understand that engine or it won't run right. So I try to take as much knowledge in as I can possibly have so that I can watch this machine run. And if there's a little problem over here, I can go over and fix it, which is, potentially a teammate or a strategy that we've employed or the wrong marketing message or whatever. If I know enough about what we're doing, I can fix it. Or I could pull in our team and have them fix it, because we empower everybody that works with us. Because to do an event of that, keep looking, there's no picture up there. To do an event that big, we have to subdivide the duties, just like any other business. So even a festival looks like a big party, it is a business. There's subdivision of duties. There's people over the kids area, people over the bars, people over the music, and we empower them, and we put really good people in place, and we empower them to run their area of the event. If they got a problem, they come to me, but we have a chain of command so that this ginormous event can happen. And some of the times it's funny because I'll be walking around, I'll be like, oh wow, I didn't even know that was going on at the event. That's cool. I'll take a picture and whatever. So as a leader, I feel like for me, it's super important to know everything about the business, and then I can help everybody else be successful. So to help everybody else be successful, I build a machine and a way of speaking with everybody, and which is, I use Google Docs, and it took me 8 years to build our system within Google Docs, but everybody has information at all times, and they can use it as they want, and it's a great platform for communication. And I also create very thorough job descriptions so that people can take what I want them or need them to do as this big machine is working, and they can do it, and then if they've got issues or they want to change something, they can come to me and we can change it and make it work better. But if they don't know what they're doing, they can't be successful, and we can't be successful as a group. So the communication strategy is super, super important as in managing large-scale operations, a festival, or a giant corporation. And then that's part of the process, and as Marcos Lemonis says on The Profit, it's process and people. We bring in the best people. If I have to fly in, now that I live in San Diego, I still fly in my St. Louis crew for all our shows here. I make sure that I have people that know what they're doing, have been doing it forever, and have a passion and a love for what they're doing, because that then translates to everybody else. It transcends throughout the entire business. So if you have a good process with good communication and good people, and they're all happy doing what they're doing, you've got this happy machine, and it's just humming along. Which brings me to my point is of my process and people of how I build a festival and run it to that scale. About a month out, I'm done. Everything's in place. Everybody knows what they're going to do. For the last month, we make little fine tunings, change the oil in the machine, whatever, do little things so that when the event takes place, or in a business, every day an event's taking place, like a restaurant or a company or whatever, our event is in 3 days, so everything leads up to those 3 days. But in a regular business, it's every single day. But when that event takes place, it should just happen. It should just happen naturally, and it should happen smoothly. And so if you've built the right machine and fueled it with the right people, it should just run. And so when I get to a festival and everybody's doing their job and it's humming along, it's really cool because everybody's being successful. So that creates this happy machine. Everybody's happy, and I can sit back, fine-tune it from a distance. And if something does arise, I have the bandwidth and power, and time to make adjustments. And even at a big festival, it's still not there. Even with a big festival of 500,000 people underneath the arch on Independence Day with all these people going, and happening and drinking booze and whatever, we really only have 1 or 2 odd things pop up. And if you've done your job, when you get to that point, you should be able to deal with it, and then you can. And so that's sort of my process of what I do it. And then as far as my style goes, when you build a city, which is a festival, which has housing and plumbing and electrical and contractors and signage and wayfinding and police and fire and emergency responders and all these things, you're building that machine, which is the same as a business. So again, a festival equates to a business, which equates to a city, and if you got a nice city and everybody's happy and everybody's doing their thing, it's a good place to be. this is kind of rehash, but again, for me, I need to have the answers. So as a leader, I feel it's incredibly important that at least you have some answer, or you can work to find the answer, or you can pull your teammates in to find that answer. But it's on me to be the end-all, be-all. And when I've got, oddly enough, the FBI coming to me, asking me questions, I'm like, wow, you're asking me questions. But I got the answers. It's because I did my homework, and I got everything done in advance. So I just think, preparing yourself and preparing your team is so important. And then having that structure for everybody working to be successful is how I equate, doing good business. Again, the communication strategy is key. And then that's on the backside of everything. And I think the thing that got Steve when I was talking to him and said, in 22 years, millions of people through our gates on festivals I own and festivals that we manage, I've never had an incident, and it's totally true. I've never had an arrest. I've never had anybody in handcuffs, which is, in my business, just unheard of. And I didn't realize that was happening. But it's because I'm also super OCD about how the guest experiences the product, and the product is the festival. So from the second they hear about the festival and they learn what it is, and the brand becomes aware to them, and they find out what they're going to get, say it's entertainment or a food festival, that messaging is consistent. Then they buy the ticket and they go to the website or whatever, that brand and message stays consistent. Then they get the ticket, they get in their car, and they drive to the festival, and they hear a commercial on the radio. That messaging is all consistent. Then, as they approach the venue, there's parking information. It's easy for them to enjoy this product that they purchased. So then they park easily. Then they walk to the venue. And so part of my philosophy is like from the second you hear about it to the second you leave the festival and or the second you learn about a product, you buy the product and experience it, it should be smooth and it should be consistent. And so they walk up to the gates. It looks the same as the website. It sounds and feels like everything that they were expecting so far. And if you've seen the Fire Festival documentary, they didn't get what they were expecting. And that's like a painful movie to watch. I mean, 2 minutes into it, I could hardly take it. But it's so important that you're delivering what the customer expects. So every moment of encounter with our company, which is from the first time they hear it to the time they walk to the gates, should be consistent. Then they walk through the gates, and it's a good experience. And through, as you can see on this picture, I mean, it's 50,000 people. Every tent looks the same. It's uniform. All the signage is the same. There's a few crooked ones that are bothering me, but everything that they experience when they walk onto this footprint, and this was like my own aha moment, was even though I thought I was OCD, it played into the mindset of the customer being on the footprint of this festival. So not only have they experienced everything from the time they bought the ticket to when they got to the gate to when they walk in, now they walked into an environment that feels very in control. And so as soon as they feel that and they experience our team, who is also happy and delivering what they're supposed to be doing, they relax and they calm down. And then they can have a good time, and they get what they paid for, and they get what they expected. And it just really washes away the anxiety of being in a large, environment like this with so many people. I mean, even with that density of crowd, we still had no issues. And that's 3 days straight for 14 city blocks, and we still had no issues. And it's because when you walk into an environment that feels, or you're experiencing a product that feels in control, you're in control, which then became like, I was like, wow, okay, my OCD actually paid off because now people can relax and enjoy it. And if they were the ones that did something out of the norm, it's really gonna stick out, right? So that's what kept people from being stupid at an event and doing stupid things and causing, chaos. So they walk into an environment that's very controlled, or they're experiencing a product that is very much, exactly what they expected in a quality product. It's like, wow, there was really good thought put into this and love put into this product, and everybody cares. So my uniformity and my approach to symmetrical footprints and everything really pays off, because in the end, it makes people feel relaxed, and then they can have a good time. So that is what wound up being my success, which then ultimately leads to, my everlasting goal of creating an environment that is in control, intuitive. People can come onto the footprint. They don't have to guess where they're at. They don't get mad or upset. They walk onto the footprint and they know what's going on. They feel good and they can have a good time. And it's enjoyable for everybody. And when I say for everybody, I mean everybody, from the person picking up the waste at the event to our top sponsor. Everybody has the same experience because they're in an environment that is full of love, full of passion, being done for the right reasons, and it's relaxed, and they can be relaxed and have a good time. So it maximizes their experience as well. So what can a well-designed system, which is a festival, and I guess I'm going to take a sidebar for a second, because if you design a festival correctly and it's symmetrical and you design it well, it's a lot less expensive to host that festival. So that one under the arch, that's about a $3.5 million deal over 3 days. And the more efficient we can make it, and the more symmetrical we can make it, and the more predictable we can make it, the cost goes down, because it's a very high-risk business. So it's very important that when you're designing your business system and you're wanting to spit out these great predictable results, that it is well-designed and it gives you the result you're expecting, and you can always make tweaks. But what will it do? It'll create an environment that is calm, smooth, and efficient. Everyone will feel the love, feel the passion, and feel the respect. And that's the biggest, I think, thing that I always make sure that I do when I'm on site at an event from start to finish. And I'm always the first one there, last one to leave. I buy myself time by being prepared well in advance. So if somebody's picking up trash, I pick up the trash. If I have moved 8,000 porta-johns in my day, and I'm the owner of the event, but I like doing it because they know that I have the time and I'm calm enough and I'm in a position where I can do that, but also it's respect. I will do every job it takes on site, so that everybody knows that we're all in this together, because it is a team effort, and that definitely starts with respect. With that machine built, the client and the customer get way more than they expected. They come in, they're surprised, because like Firefest or a lot of festivals, or a lot of businesses, the end result and the client experience is sort of secondary to money. And for me, it's all about the client. It's all about the experience. And that festival, the Taste of this, I don't know how to go backwards, but the Taste of St. Louis event, I built that from 0 people to 250,000 people in 4 years. And I did it by creating a culture that was, nice. A culture that was harmonious, and everybody could work together, and everybody can win, and we always set it up for everybody to win. And with that, it just breeds success. And seeing some of the charts that I saw earlier, and now going through today's experience and seeing everybody talk about how they do it, I was like, wow, I didn't know I was doing it right, or doing it in this fashion, and it's pretty cool. I mean, and I've been doing it for 22 years, but I didn't really know. I just did it, hopefully, from the right place. And he's mentioned, I'm a hippie at heart. If I could have hair, it would be down to here. I used to have hair, So I think that's where it probably started, was just my hippie roots. And then, positive results become the only results when you set it up for everybody to win. And that's how we did it. So in my case, 22 years of festivals with no arrests or major incidents, happy guests, happy team, happy clients, and happy me. It took me a while to get happy because I was so obsessed with making sure I had a good business, but I'd say for the last 10 years, I've really been able to sit back and enjoy what we do. Still improving every day, and then just in general business, success in reaching the goal, so whatever the company's goal is, whatever the product is, creating the best product possible. The ability, when you have a well-running machine, it gives you the ability to adapt and grow with predictability. You have a happy team, which I keep hearing is the mantra here: happy workers, happy clients, happy customers, and then happy you. And that's always the goal, because life's short and we should all be happy. And I think following LEAP is absolutely the way to go in business, because you're going to make your team happy, you're going to make your customers happy, and at the end of the day, you're going to be happy. So, ta-da! Stay right there, stay there. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Have a seat.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple minutes to have a little chat. I like who was it that finished the talk earlier? That's it. Hear that? So earlier we had that's it, and this time we had ta-da. So, there's something that strikes me about this. As we think back over the last couple of days and the people we've heard from so far, and you heard some of these today. We heard from an engineering consulting firm, architecture consulting firm, OAC. We heard from a collections agency. We heard from a shipping and logistics company. We heard from a greeting card company, which on the surface seem like completely different businesses. And now you come along and say, well, this is how I do a festival. And it's like, well, that sounds kind of familiar, almost. But what really strikes me about this, and did it from our very first conversation, is when you put a festival together, and this is both a statement and a question, because I'm not sure that I have it right. What you're doing, in effect, is you have, like you said, you're building a city, right?
Yeah.
For a defined period of time.
Oh, yeah.
And everything that you do, from the registration to the signage to everything that happens, is by design, and that all creates, and this is both the statement and the question, a culture.
Absolutely.
Right? A culture that's going to happen for the next few days.
Absolutely.
And so I guess my question is, what is, if we look at that as an example for a business that's not just around for a few days, but is around for decades, or 100+ years in some cases, what's the parallel?
Ooh, that's tough.
And maybe that's not a question for you. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
question for everybody. What parallels do you see in what Mike creates for a finite period of time and what we're all trying to create for a longer period of time?
I can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah,
You know, that even though my end result or my business only lasts for 3 days, it really is, it's a product at the end of the day. And so it should be, and that's, well, like you say, all the different companies that are here, it's all the same thing, it's just a different product. So if we're creating an environment that creates a successful, harmonious machine and product, it's the same thing as what I'm doing. So, it's really all the same thing. And I guess for me, it just comes down to respect. If you're respecting everybody around you, then, I mean, it's unlimited what you can do with that.
Yeah, that's great. So that's going to be a common universal theme, right? And then I'm thinking, if you go a little bit further into the mechanics of it, here's the parallel that I saw. You are creating. You have the experience that you're trying to create, the product that you're trying to create. Everything that you do, every sign that you put up, and every place that you put it, and every element on the schedule, and all that what you called OCD stuff.
Oh yeah.
Is designed to help you achieve that.
Yep.
That goal, that why for that particular. Well, to me, that sounds an awful lot like, and you guys from American Greetings, tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds an awful lot like the Creative Studios project, right? So everything in that building at American Greetings is designed to produce the effect that company wants, that culture wants.
Yes.
So the elements of it are different. In other words, they can't take, well, let's take the exact signage that you guys use at, at your festivals, and let's apply that here. Let's take the same principle, which is that every detail, from the way we communicate with each other and respect each other to actually the way the environment is literally built and structured, all of that should serve the values and the why and the purpose that we all stand for.
Totally, because you're gathering people that are like-minded, whether it's around music or food. There's heavy metal concerts, and when you go to those shows, if done right, they have their own brand set. If you go to a country show, it has its own brand set. And, it's all basically the same elements, but it's just skinned and branded different ways so that when the people who you're targeting and your target demographic come into the play, they feel comfortable in that environment and they know it's for them. And that's what they're paying for, that authentic experience. And authenticity is absolutely key nowadays in festivals because for the most part, festivals are going to start shrinking. The industry is going smaller. explosive growth of the mega festival is pretty much over. Unique branded experiences in the 10,000 to 15,000 person range is where it's at. And it's because they want more. They want that experience that is very catered to their own being and their emotions. And so when you create that environment and it's professional and it's and it's uniform, you can deliver what they expect.
Great. All right. So another question for you. You, first of all, a statement, then a question. You were also the founder, co-founder, originator, the founder of in St. Louis,
the National Blues Museum.
The National Blues Museum.
Blues music, not hockey.
Yeah, blues music. Well, wow, that's obvious.
Not in the Midwest.
Yeah, well, it is to me. So tell us a little bit about the project you're working on now.
So shameless plug. So I did sell my companies back in the Midwest, and currently I only own 2 festivals here in San Diego, but my new project is the Museum of Beer in downtown San Diego, in East Village. My homie of 26 years, raise your hand, Twan, back there. He's the executive director of the Museum of Beer. We're getting, you're actually the largest group that's ever heard about this. We're launching it April 2nd. It's going to be in East Village, and it's dedicated to the history of craft beer in San Diego, which is the #1 craft beer city in the world. And it'll also explore what beer is and how it gets to you and the different flavor profiles. But it will be the only brick and mortar tourist destination for beer tourism.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Love is Just Damn Good Business with Steve Farber. Join us again next time, because when customer and employee satisfaction just isn't enough anymore, we are here to back you up with specific ideas to operationalize love to make an enormous difference in your business, personal life, and the world around you. Visit our website at stevefarber.com to leave a review. And don't forget to share the love with your colleagues and friends, because after all, it's just damn good business.